Okay, you can see I've sewn my pocket onto this, just this square of fabric. Yours is obviously sewn onto your monster, just around these 3 sides at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So obviously then your pocket opens at the top. But now we need to sew on our button to match up with our buttonhole. So you can see I've threaded a hand needle here. I've matched up the 2 ends, and now I gotta tie a couple of knots. So the way I do that is I make the loop, I put the ends through it, and then I use these 2 fingers here to kind of pinch that as I pull so the knot goes right there at the end where I want it. And then I'm gonna do it again, and I want my second knot right on top of the first, just like this, and then 1 more knot on top of that one. I tend to do 3 just because I like to make extra sure it's not gonna come through, okay? Now, when I start, we're just gonna go right here to the back of the fabric to put our needle through, and you wanna make sure, don't do that. Don't bring it through the pocket, then you're sewing the pocket shut. So you wanna make sure you're coming through the buttonhole, just like that. Pull it all the way through, and then you're gonna slide the button on, okay? And now since this button has 4 holes, we're gonna make an X, so we're coming down diagonally, and when I go back through, again, we're making sure I'm going through the buttonhole, not through the fabric of the pocket. Before I pull this tight, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put a toothpick in here, and you'll see why in a minute. And then I'm gonna come over this probably about 2 more times. Every time I'm making sure my needle's coming up through the buttonhole, not the pocket. Okay, go back down again through the buttonhole. Okay, for now, to make this video a little shorter, I'm just gonna go through twice. You should probably go around 3, maybe even 4 times. Ow, just poked myself. Okay, now I'm coming up, I wanna come up in this hole. So, up through the buttonhole, again, through that one, like that. Once more. But again, probably do that about 3 or 4 times. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this toothpick out. You can see I have all this extra room. That was intentional. Go ahead and unbutton. See, and I even, with how careful I was being, I still even caught just a few threads there in my buttonhole. Just kind of pull. It's okay if you have to cut a tiny bit. The world won't end. All right. So unbutton this, okay? And then take your needle, should be on the back of your fabric, go back up through your fabric, but not through the button. So now my needle's under my button, just like this. And with all this extra, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this thread and I'm gonna wrap this around about 3 or 4 times. So you can see I'm grabbing that thread just like that. I lost track of which direction I was going. This way, okay? This is what's called a shank. So now my button is not sitting directly on my fabric. That gives me more room to put it in and out of the buttonhole. It just works a little bit better. That's why we did the toothpick. To finish off, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the back of my fabric. Okay. And to tie a knot in the back of the fabric, you're gonna grab just a few little threads of your fabric, just like that. And it makes this loop. Now see, I should have made my thread a little longer because I'm running a little short here. In this loop, I'm gonna put my needle through it, so then it ties the knot right in my fabric, and I usually do at least 2 of those, pretty much on top of each other. So once more, through the fabric, needle through the loop, like that, put it off, and now I have my button that I can put in and out of my buttonhole to close my pocket. Maybe, just like that.